This video will be about working with student groups in PowerTeacher Gradebook. At the end of this video, you should be able to create, edit, and delete a set, create, edit, and delete a group, add and delete students to and from a group, move students between groups, and highlight and filter student groups. Students begin the first day of school with different needs and levels of readiness. Using student groups, you can adapt instruction to the particular needs of students. Student groups are made up of a hierarchical structure. A set is the largest, groups is within that set, and then the students are within those groups. Student groups are class specific, therefore you need to create student groups for each class in which you want to use student groups. In PowerTeacher Gradebook, there are two predefined student groups, active and dropped. So if you look in your student groups pane, you'll see that there are 17 in my class active students, and there are none in the dropped group. The active student group contains only those students who are currently enrolled in a class. The dropped students group contain only those students who are no longer enrolled in a class. Now, student groups operates in two modes. There's the highlight and the filter mode. By default, the student group pane operates in the highlight mode, where selected students appear highlighted on the score sheet. So if you look, if I were to click on the active group, all of my students are active, therefore you see they have been highlighted. We're going to go ahead and look at my science lab groups, and we can see all but one is assigned to a science lab group. In our highlight mode here, if I open that group, I can also look at those who are in my group Carnivora. There are 4 students in that group, as you can see them highlighted here, and our number 4 off to the side. If we decided to look at it in the filter mode, this view only shows the selected students on the score sheet. So we're going to toggle to filter selected. In this case, those 4 students are now on the score sheet. Your selection can include one or more sets, groups, students, or any combination thereof. So now we're going to look at just how do we go about creating a set. So we're going to select a class from the class pane. In this case, we're dealing with our first semester biology class. And we're going to go over to the student group pane and click on the plus button and select Add Group Set. Remember, in order to do this, we're going to add that biggest group, that's our set of groups, first. And we're going to call this Small Group Reading. And we would click OK. Now you'll notice that our small group reading appears in the student group pane. Now, once we have created that set, we can update that information whenever we need to. If we want to change our name of our set, I could right-click on this and I can edit. And there's our, actually, let's see, let's highlight the small group reading first and right-click on there, and I can edit just like I can for groups. And we're going to click OK. Now we're going to, let's begin with editing this group, which does not have a name yet. Right-click, edit, and we're going to name that our High Flyers group. Now we're going to add an additional group. We'll click the plus button, and here we're going to choose Add Group to our existing group set of small group reading. And if we were in the wrong area, we could toggle to the science lab group if that's indeed what we wanted to add. But we are in the correct area, or the correct set. And so we are going to name this group the Middle of the Road group. And we're going to add one additional group. And we're going to call that our lowrider group. Okay, now we have selected and added 3 groups. Now we want to add students to those groups. Now, one note is that students can only belong to one group within a given set. They can belong to multiple sets, but only one group within a given set. So we're going to select the class that we're working with, and that's already up here, our biology class. We're going to select the group. In this case, it's our high flyers. And let's get out of this filtered tab. We're going to leave it in our highlighted tab. And we're going to select the students that we want to add. So we're going to click on that. That's our student highlighted in blue. And we can actually drag him right into the high flyers group. And you'll notice that one student is there. And when it's expanded, you can see his name. I can also select multiple students using Command on the Mac or Control on the Windows in order to put multiple students in the group at the same time. And all 3 of these students will now go into that same group. And now I have 4 students in the group. And I would do the same for the other existing groups, the lowrider group and the middle of the road group. What if I want to move the student from one group to another? I can simply expand, and this is already expanded, my high flyers group, and I can take Mr. Matthew Hundley and move him from one group to the other, and let's say he's now in my middle of the road group. And just like that, you can see Mr. Matthew Hundley has been moved from one group to the other. If I wanted to remove a student from the group, perhaps Mr. Michael Curbs is no longer in the high flyers group and he's not in any of these groups, I can click on him and use my minus key. I have a confirmation window. Would you like to delete the selected group member? In this case, yes, I would. I'm going to click on yes. And now Michael Curbs is no longer in my group. I can also use that Command or Control to select multiple students always whenever I'm working with that student group pane. Anytime I'm in the student group pane, I can double click on any of these students and see student details about that student. If I'd like to delete one of my groups, I simply can highlight that in my blue and choose my minus or delete key, and it asks me, would you like to delete the selected group? And I would say yes or no. You cannot put students in multiple groups within the same set. There is a feature that doesn't help you to make sure that you do not do that. In this case, we're going to select Mr. Grimm to be in the middle of the road group, knowing he is already in the high flyers group, and this will show you exactly what happens. It says some of the selected students exist in other groups in this group set. Do you want to move only the allowed students? Allowed students are those who are not already currently tied to a group. You can say move all. That means yes, I meant to move him out of the group that he exists in to another group, or only move those who are eligible. And in which case I said I'm only going to move those who are eligible. And so therefore Mr. Grimm does not move out of the group that he already is in.